Yeah. I'm live. Hello, everyone. Woo! I'm playing with the lighting. Yo, what up, what up, what up? Hello, I've not gone live in a little bit. I just went live on Facebook. I'm experimenting with different platforms. I really like StreamYard because I can stream to multiple platforms at one time. I really like just the whole concept of live streaming, like hopping on, going off the cuff, no editing, and being able to engage with people as they come into the space through the comments. So if you come through the space, feel free to drop a comment and all of that. If you have any questions or anything, I really like this way to open up the relationship and stuff like that. So yeah, I usually do StreamYard. I try to go live about once a week. I feel like energetically I'm most into it on Mondays or Tuesdays, but I thought I'd go live on Facebook just for the heck of it. Did a little bit, maybe like a half hour ago or something like that. But yeah, back on StreamYard. Happy full moon, happy equinox time. Like I said in my other live, I don't know where you're at in the world, but where I'm at in the world, the seasons are definitely changing. So I'm getting to tune into all of that. For some reason, my allergies aren't acting up. I think it's the local honey that I eat like every single day. So I get all of the like bennies of the seasons changing, but none of the like, oh shit, I'm sick, or like my allergies, my sinuses. But condolences to the people that are going through that. I hear local honey and nettles and mullein, some herbs might help, but it's not medical advice. Don't listen to me. But yeah, I just wanted to hop on here and say, hey, I am excited for this time of the year. It's literally my favorite time of the year, but the past few years, I feel I've not been in a place that I could really tune into the seasons changing, such as fall and then winter coming in. I'm still kind of apprehensive about winter coming, but for now I'm going to enjoy the dog days of summer and fall being upon us. So yes, if you're coming into the space, welcome. I have some incense burning. You can burn your favorite incense, Palo Santo, sage, get your essential oils going, get your favorite beverage if you would like. I'm currently like chugging a gallon of water. So excuse me if I excuse myself during the stream to go to the restroom. But yeah, settling into the space, I wanted to open up with a tarot card pull just because we know that's a great way to get access to our subconscious mind, symbols, the energy that's going on, whether you interpret tarot as like it's actual magic, or hey, this is a great tool for accessing the subconscious mind, or hey, I don't know what any of this is, but it's fun and I like the art on the cards. Cool. So we'll start with a tarot card pull, and then I really just wanted to talk a bit about my journey with pregnancy. This is all stuff that I literally didn't have the words or the like chutzpah, the cojones to even share before this moment. So this is a way for me to share a bit of my story, but also help take some of my power back and real-time process some of these things that came up for me. So it'll be tarot card reading, a bit about the pregnancy journey, largely through the lens of shadow work, and then, yeah, any questions that come up for people as we're flowing along. Again, just taking some time, getting settled into the space. I invite you to use your essential oils or incense, your Palo Santo, kind of smudge the area. If you're sitting down, cool. If you're standing up, cool. Maybe get a little wiggle in. I'm on my exercise ball, I got my water. Yeah. All right. So we will start off with the tarot card pool. This is This is my favorite deck. I actually got it gifted to me at Serpent Mound. Serpent Mound is having their fall gathering this weekend that I plan on going to, and I'm super, super, super excited. But yeah, I remember getting gifted this deck at the Mound, and there's kind of a myth in the tarot space, and the myth says you're not allowed to buy your own tarot deck, like it needs to be gifted to you. And I, for one, have done both. I think if you are resonating with tarot or you're attracted to a certain deck, fucking buy it for yourself. Like, who cares? However, there is a, like, just like getting gifted anything, if you get gifted something that you really like and you use all the time, it might just hold a special place in your heart. But it's just as valid if you buy it for yourself. So I say feel free to myth bust the myth that you can't buy your own deck of tarot cards. I don't even know where that came from, but if you know where that came from, leave it in the comments because I'd be interested to hear. So yeah, let me tilt a bit. Okay, so shuffle. I shuffle them like so. But yeah, if you've been following along with my journey, you know, part of my morning journaling practice is to do a tarot card pull every day. So I have this deck that I've been rocking with like really cool Egyptian type of symbols. Oh, it's really hard to do with like the mirror. You know, like Egyptian looking stuff. Ooh, High Priest. Which is why I resonate with it. The Rider-Waite deck is a really popular intro deck. However, it's like very, I would call it just Eurocentric. You know what I mean? Nothing wrong with that. But if you want a little like flavor or spice, I do like this deck as an alternative. But what I was going to say is, in addition to the deck I've been working with for what feels like forever, I recently got gifted again, although if I wanted to buy it for myself, it's just as valid, but I got gifted the Mama Natural, I don't know if you can see it with the lighting, Mama Natural pregnancy card deck. And this isn't like a tarot card deck per se, but it's just affirmations and stuff like that. So the card that I pulled today, I walk with billions of mamas who've birthed before me. Like, hell yes, I have. And when I'm talking birth, I don't necessarily mean physical birth. Like, yes, that's how it's manifesting in this current season of my life. But any of you out there, the creatives, the magic makers, the visionaries, the artists, you know that creation transcends physical birth. You know what I mean? A lot of people are even turned off by that aspect of physical birth. You know, they want to stay in the more ethereal realms with it. And, you know, whatever your flavor is, cool. But yeah, it's just owning that we can birth with such confidence. It doesn't have to be a struggle. This can be birthing a human child. This can be birthing a new relationship, birthing a new creative project, anything. So it's been really awesome to connect with this very powerful creative energy lately, and also in a feminine sense. So it's like this massive feminine creative energy that I've been working with for a few years now, but this is like definitely a new level of it. And I guess I'm surprised with how not passive, as in I don't have agency in the process, but how flowy the whole process is. Like, all of this can flow. Something can channel out of you, like a human can just grow inside of you without you doing too much. Not to say you're passive, not to say you're not doing anything, but that you're in alignment, in flow with such a powerful consciousness, such a powerful creative force that you need just be present with it. And it's so cool. So yeah, before I get into more of that, doing the card reading, we were shuffling. Okay, and then I shall pull this in. Woo! The Fool. Of course, we get the Fool. So I don't know how much you all know about tarot, but the Fool is essentially some schmuck, I'm just kidding, some person at the beginning of a new journey. So you can see the Fool is kind of like stumbling, falling back off of a cliffside with this dog character representing usually intuition or like your spirit guide, something there to help you. So as we're talking this process of creation, of course we get the Fool, which is zero starting point, clear the slate to then build off of. So not only is the Fool at the beginning of a journey that they're about to take, but they might be taking that journey unbeknownst to them or unbeknownst to their conscious mind. It might not be the most consciously intentional thing, although there might be, and probably are, great subconscious, great forces working to get this person over the edge of the cliff. So this person with their conscious mind might be saying like, no, I don't want to go. However, they've walked themselves to the edge of the cliff. They've been peering over, and they, definitely surrender to it at a certain point if that is what they want to do. It's definitely whatever you want your journey to be, but the Fool card is essentially someone, man, woman, doesn't matter. It's someone at the beginning of a journey, and like a fool or like a child, like a novice, there's so much that we, the Fool, doesn't know as they begin that journey. So perfect card to represent what I felt called to talk about today, which was my Fool's journey, getting initiated into pregnancy and the first trimester of birth. Hold on, I'm going to see if I can get my computer to charge better. If not, oh well. One moment. Why aren't you charging? Okay, I'll just go until it dies, whatever. So yeah, I wanted to talk a bit about my own Fool's journey with pregnancy, and that is to say, when I got initiated, it started off very magical. So I take the pregnancy test, and it says I'm pregnant, which I definitely already knew. Intuitively, I knew. Sensorily, in my body, I knew. Intellectually, I knew, given that I'd been charting my cycle for months and months and months and months and months. Shout out to Laura, shout out to Priestess Grail, shout out Midwife of the Veils, shout out all of the wonderful, wonderful ladies doing work with Red Tent, because in the Red Tent community, that's how I really started getting initiated into the cult of the goddess, serving the divine feminine, getting really in tune with my cycle. And I'm so glad I had that work before being initiated into pregnancy and motherhood. Not to say that it's conditional, like anyone can be pregnant, be a mother, all of that. But for me and my own journey, I see how necessary it was for me to get a deeper understanding of my own body before a human freaking grew and passed through it, So when I first got pregnant, I was thinking, the first thought was like, this is the most magical thing ever. I remember like feeling like my whole body was tingling. It felt psychedelic. Like I would have never guessed, but it felt psychedelic. I'm talking like not a deep trip, but when you trip and like you've peaked and you're like coming back down and you're like re-entering consciousness as you know it, but you feel like you've been somewhere else really far away. It felt like that, like a micro dose little buzz, and it just felt so buzzy and so awesome. And I think looking back, I think I had lots of serotonin and dopamine and norepinephrine and oxytocin going off in my brain, being like, yes, 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 yes. And that was truly the first impression. And I called my partner, and they were like, yeah, cool, you know what I mean, like, let's do this, like, this unwavering character of like positivity and optimism and excitement that was really awesome to help balance me out. Although I was excited and extremely neurochemically like enchanted by the experience, after that initial buzz wore off, I felt just like with the trip, I felt almost depleted in those chemicals, and my logical mind, my ego took over, and it was extremely unpleasant. All I could think of from the ego perspective, you know what I mean? Not necessarily real, but real for me at the time. All I could think of were all of these things like scripts and narratives, all of them looking back rooted in shame. Like from the original magic of conception, I felt like I couldn't even talk about it. I felt like I couldn't tell anyone. It was like, it is the essence of shame, very much like hide, shrink yourself, shame on you. And you know how much of that was actually mine, I don't know, because I feel like I was able to process and clear it fairly quickly. But in being able to name it as shame, I'm wondering like how many decades, generations, like how deep into my genetic coding is this programmed into me? The script of what is right to do, period, and then especially what is good and right to do as a new mother or someone who is pregnant, you know? And there are like horror stories out there of people having much shittier experiences than myself. For example, like deeply indoctrinated into religion, being like cast off and their babies taken from them, just kind of like heinous shit, all rooted in shame, fear, guilt, shame, fear, guilt, shame, fear, guilt. And as much work as I've already done on, you know, getting in touch with my body, like activating the goddess and the feminine, letting go of shame, fear, guilt, integrating the psyche, real-time processing, as much work as I had done, if you do the work, you know what I'm talking about, like the work doesn't end. And this was like a whole new wave, a whole new level of that work. So yeah, looking back, I'm so grateful for that like mini dark night of the soul sandwiched in between such like neurochemical bliss, you know, because it gives me immense perspective and ultimately immense empathy for people who have gone through what I've gone through. And in that space and time, that's really when people decide like, is this what I want? If you know what I mean. Like, I don't want to say certain words that get flagged, but like people decide if they want to continue the pregnancy or not. And again, like my heart and soul, deepest empathy to people going through that. And I just want to be a voice for like being on the other side of shame, fear, and guilt, and ultimately really not caring what anyone thinks. And from my own understanding, knowing that I had such preconceived notions about pregnancy and motherhood, really from the media and indoctrination from just other people and outside sources. And I had been doing my work deprogramming, like getting right with food, getting right with education, what I was putting into my mind, getting better relationally, communication wise, not perfect, but really seeing like, ooh, I need to work on that. But as with the shadow, I had this huge unseen blind spot. And that was all of my biases about pregnancy and motherhood, biases that really made me feel like I wanted nothing to do with any of that. My bias, these facts that aren't actually real, being like, I'll lose all my freedom, I'll lose all my friends, I won't have a career, just like the biggest horror story you can think of. That is, yeah, you get this kid, but you lose everything else. And that was so real to me for so much of my life, you know. And I'm just coming to realize now that yes, there will be shifts and changes, and everything is always shifting and changing. Like having children is a very natural part of life. You know what I mean? Like if the act isn't rooted or seeded in like shame, fear, guilt, if the seed isn't rooted in shame, fear, guilt, why worry that the fruit will be fruited of shame, fear, guilt? Like that doesn't make sense once I break it down and like clear away the bullshit and the layers. So it's been really, really fun and really, really interesting. But this took work. I dropped into going to counseling for a little bit as I was processing this. I took a lot of time by myself. I didn't feel comfortable talking to too many people about it because that was the essence of the shame, fear, guilt, right? Like that's the essence of that monster. It wants you to feel like you are bad, you are wrong, and God forbid you talk to anyone about it, although talking about it is what literally helps break you free of that cage. In my case, talking about it is what helped me break free of that cage of shame, fear, guilt. So talking about it for me was like telling people I was pregnant, because they were going to find out eventually. But it had to be in my own time, and it had to be rooted in me doing what I wanted to do, not what someone else was wanting me to do, right? However, once I was able to start telling people, voila, that's when the shame, fear, guilt started to shrink, started to dissipate, because I was like putting light where the shadow was, like shining my light on it, being like, oh, that's not as bad as I thought it was. So it was that it was just the sheer essence of talking about it was helping. And when I did talk about it, the feedback I got was super helpful. It was friends and family saying really encouraging, really positive things that were planting seeds of excitement and inspiration. It was like reactivating my initial reaction, my initial imprint to finding out this news, at like initial imprint, bliss, ecstasy, followed by all of the programming that came up, all of the programming that I didn't even know was there. Oh my God. The essence of shadow work, right? Like that shit was hidden. That shit was hidden so, so, so deep. So yeah, in my experience, the first trimester was truly me wading through the muck of my own shadow when it came to pregnancy and motherhood. And I by no means am done. However, that first trimester was rooted more in me processing my own shame, fear, and guilt. And then I was able to, in a sense, be reborn on the other side of that, right? Because we're talking our infinitely many births and deaths and lives. I was able to be reborn on the other side of that into the second trimester with ultimately a unified will, with all of me saying, yes, this is what we're doing. We're moving forward this way, able to tell people, and just ultimately able to get all the parts of myself on board, like I said, and then feeling more and more and more and more and more empowered through all of the wonderful people that I've met who are like-minded. The really cool books that I'm reading right now, the Continuum Concept, reading the Continuum Concept. I'm reading Birthing from Within, which is a cool like inner work journal. It's full of short little chapters that have exercises. So I'm on like let's do an exercise every day. And I've also been in like a birth course. So basically I'm not trying to get super intellectual about it. Like I love the Continuum Concept too. Yeah. And if you have other books on this like whole like energy that I'm talking about, feel free to leave it in the comments. But yeah, I'm not trying to over intellectualize this process because like I said at the beginning, this process is such a powerful force of creation that we can just flow with and get out of our own way, which is awesome. However, I'm a fairly intellectual being and I'm finding such like understanding and resonance from the books that I've been reading and the course that I've been doing. And it's also bringing in essentially more of a holistic aspect to this whole process. So I love being sentient and conscious at the time that I'm alive in, because I know women of past generations, they had what they had, yes, and they didn't have things like the internet. They couldn't get into a Facebook group and find, you know, a whole bunch of used items or a person of a like mind that they can go get coffee with. So I say all that to, hold on to your kids is great when kids get older. Heck yeah. That's another book recommendation, y'all. But yeah, just so grateful to not only be over the hump of the shame, fear, guilt, but also over the hump into a place of more empowerment with an understanding of what I went through and why I went through it. And that process will continue. You know what I mean? Like, it by no means is over. But yeah, that's basically what I wanted to talk about. I just wanted to sprinkle light on all of the shame, fear, and guilt of that first trimester, celebrate my the mini rebirth of myself into the second trimester, share some of the things that have helped me, like the books that were mentioned, did a little card reading, and what else? Another thing is I plan on having a baby shower in the next couple months. So that will be in person in Ohio. Congrats, you make a great mother. Oh, thank you. Thank you. I'm trying over here. I just figure, like, the better human I am, the better mother I will be, as that's like a hat that humans can wear. So I see it like in alignment with everything else I've been trying to do, which is self-improvement, you know, and daring to go into the darker parts of the journey with as much compassion for myself as I can. And then when I come out of that, try to do my best to process, like, what made me go through that and what helped me get out of that. And then how can I express what I went through in hopes that it will like help others who have gone through or are going through a similar experience. But yeah, the actual baby shower is on the horizon, being here before we know it. And since I'm in Ohio right now, but I know people like all throughout the states, all throughout the world, basically, I put together like a virtual type baby shower that I'll like continue to add pictures and videos to, but it's a way for people to plug in, show their love however they would want to if they can't make it to the physical shower, which I'm assuming lots of people who I know won't be able to make it to the physical shower. Or even if you are in the area but you don't feel like coming to a physical thing with people for whatever reason, that's a way to still plug in and connect. What did Christy say? Yes, kids learn by what they witness, not what they hear, hence the continuum. Thanks for doing your work. Much love to you. Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And yeah, shout out to Heart of Now and Eugene, Oregon, the Empathy Tent. Great pillars of me activating my heart space on my journey, which again, so grateful that I got initiated into that work before coming into this work. You know what I mean? Like, so much of what my shame, fear, guilt complex was this story of I'm not ready yet, and by all means I'm not where I'll be in 5 years and 10 years. Again, that's kind of the point. However, I look back and I'm like, well, I got my heart chakra activated. I got like my sacral chakra activated. I've plugged into Red Tent. I've plugged into Heart of Now. I've traveled abroad, lived abroad for like over a year. Like I can really sit down with my accomplishments and what I have done and feel not like I felt so much like I was dying or that there is a death. And that's not to say there's not death, but it's like, yes, stuff is always being reborn and dying and being reborn and dying, symbolically, literally. And instead of, like I said, embracing that and going with the flow and like cracking open to transform into like the next bigger, better version of myself, I had to mourn, and I did mourn what I was leaving behind, if only an idea or a fantasy. So again, it's like coming to that place with compassion. You know what I mean? Like, walking yourself through that journey with as much compassion as you could possibly muster, but also owning when it feels good, like when you can really tune into gratitude and just having grace for the whole journey. So yeah, I wanted to verbally share a bit about that chapter of my journey. I don't think I've really talked about it anywhere. So yeah, it feels good to talk about it with like genuine joy in my heart, because it was something that was burdening me for a while. And yeah, just super, super, super grateful. Baby shower to come, virtual baby shower to come. And the last thing is basically I'm having the last round of Simply Lucid, my group coaching online course program. This is basically the last time I'll have it for this year. And then baby's due in January sometime. So I don't know when I will be doing another round of that. I want to have the course part evergreen, meaning if you can't work with me live, if you can't get like the additional like coaching with me, you can still work through the course on your own. Like that's something I would like to have in the future. However, this is not only the course and working through the things, it's actually dropping in with me for lives and like in-person things. And just like I was able to share and process a bit about my journey, you will also get that space to work on something that you're going through. So if you're listening and you're like, oh my gosh, it wasn't being initiated into motherhood and pregnancy, but I also have this thing that I've been too afraid to even utter aloud to someone, too consumed by shame, fear, and guilt to, talk about it, thinking no one will understand all of that. I say all that to say I know that beast, I know that entity, and I know the joy on the other side of it. So we will not only be doing shadow integrations such as that I've shared, we'll also be dropping a bit into your own personal magic, what makes you unique, how to embody your most empowered, unique, magical self, explore the unseen bits of your shadow, have a strong sense of boundaries, and then move forward creating or manifesting the next version of you and whatever you'd want to attract in your life. So this is like a really great time to do this, not only because I will be going in at the end of this year and not sure when I'll be coming back out, not through shame, fear, and guilt, but just because I'll be in a cocoon of like love and endorphins with my new baby. So it's a time to get me live while I'm still able to go live, or like wanting to, like that being on my priority scale, whereas next year I don't know where that will be in my priority scale. Now is the time also where like we're working towards the new year. So it's a time to really drop into who have you been, where are you at now, where do you want to go? And then by the end of the program, which will be 12 weeks and even longer than that, like it's something that will never really end. But as far as the program and dropping in deep with me, that will be 12 weeks. And then you hit the new year and then let it run, let everything that you've learned run for the new year. So I'm excited. It's totally an experiment. I don't know what's going to happen, but I know what I've been through, and I know that I have some really cool stories and some cool exercises for people that might want to do this work with me. And yeah, let me know if you have any questions or any concerns that you might have. If you would love to work with me, but money is an issue. If you'd love to work with me, but you're not sure if you have the time, or you're not sure if working with me would be the right fit for you, you can just reach out to me. I from my heart want to share this work with people to see if it resonates, to see if it helps. So just hit me up and we can talk through whatever might be stopping you from fuck yes, signing up if that is what is resonating with you. But yeah, back to the happy freaking full moon. Happy Equinox if you are in Ohio or the Midwest or anywhere in the world. I just want to say Serpent Mound is having their Equinox gathering this weekend that I'm really excited about, honoring the life of Chief Golden Light Eagle. May he rest in peace. My best friend Jonah Tamatu will be giving a talk there. And yeah, just I don't see anything to not just be totally stoked about in the reality right now. I mean, obviously I do, but as far as we have agency and sovereignty over our own selves, and then we can make that the coolest ever to then ripple effect out into the world, I feel really confident about that. And then, yeah, if it is a darker time or you're struggling to find that joy, accessing one of my free programs that I have on my website, tuning into some of my other videos or podcasts, and daring to dip your toe in the water of this work, because the shadow work or being in the shame, fear, guilt bubble can feel super shitty. But on the other side of having a more expanded awareness or more compassion for yourself or more understanding, there's nothing like it. And I feel like it's all in service to get you back into alignment with the most high creative force you can think of, that invites you to flow with it, dance with it, however you'd want to conceive of it. So yeah, I'll put some links in the comments and the descriptions. Thank you to everyone who tuned in and commented. The Continuum Concept is a great freaking book, and I will talk to you all later. Bye.